Hello and welcome to the African Dominion Show. My name is Freeman Singirankabo, and thank you so very much for tuning into our program today. Those of you joining us live, especially if you're joining us live straight from the social media, be it private or public social media, welcome. And we are very glad and excited for you to be joining us today, especially that most of you are enjoying an extra day off as an extended weekend. So we are super excited for those of you who are going to spare the next 90 minutes as we hang out today at our Free Dominion Show. A huge welcome to those of you also joining us straight from your television and radio stations. We are so excited as well for the opportunity to come in front of you, to come and serve you, and to come and have a conversation with you all together. And we absolutely are grateful for the opportunity and want to extend this welcome to each and every one of you as it happens right now. The conversation we get to have here at our Free Dominion, it's a conversation we get to have frankly with you, truthfully with you, and very boldly. Why? Because we believe that what we have to say is that important. And we want to make sure that this opportunity that we have been given, we do not waste it. We make sure that we maximize its potential and reach out to as many of your brothers and sisters as we can right now, because we only have right now for the opportunity to voice our opinion to all of you out there. I also want to let you know that we program and we work so hard to program this programming here at our Free Dominion, and we want to ensure that you get to know that we are led by the spirit of truth, love, and trust. And these are the benchmarks by which we would hope each and every one of you to actually measure both the validity and the authenticity of the conversation and the content that we are sharing with you guys. And what does that mean? It means that in case you see anything that is erroneous on this program at our Free Dominion, it is our hope and desire that you would actually take some time out of your busy schedule and shoot us some feedback and let us know that, hey, you know what, you may consider rectifying this area, this conversation, or these facts that you have shared with us, because we found some problem, something wrong with it, or a little bit of problematic with what you have said. And with that in mind, guys, we are not perfect, and we are not going to pretend that we are perfect. And because of that, also, we reserve the right to correct ourselves. But we are going to do it publicly, the same way we get to have this conversation publicly with each and every one of you guys. And that goes without saying that none of us is perfect. And because of that, come together and let's do this thing together. Let's work on behalf of our brothers and sisters together without feeling any shame at all. Don't be ashamed to speak on behalf of your brothers and sisters. Do what you have to do, not because you're getting paid, not because you're trying to trick somebody here or try to manipulate someone there. Do it because it's the right thing to do. And that's one of the things that we are so grateful of here at Free Dominion, because we are serving our brothers and sisters. What we're doing here, we are doing it from our heart. And which is why I keep on telling each and every one of you that it is such a privilege to be here today, to be standing with you guys, to be hanging out with you guys, to be sharing a conversation of a lifetime. Because back in the days, we did not have these opportunities. This was such an incredible opportunity to have 10, 20 years back. And in fact, it was almost impossible. And thanks to all networks, especially HMG Network and the affiliates who are broadcasting this signal globally to all of you guys. Be it on television, be it on the radio station, and now recently on these social medias where you do not need a satellite, you do not need to have some sort of a special accommodation to actually tune in to us. So we continuously are trying the very best we can. We're doing the very best we can to beam the signal to each and every one of you in the cheapest way possible, so that we won't be fighting with the issue of finance. We can just fight with the issue of getting the right information at the right time to each and every one of you. And it is also in this spirit that I extend this incredible opportunity, incredible invitation to each and every one of you brothers and sisters out there to come and voice your own opinion, the voice of your family's opinion, the voice of your loved ones there. Because we want to make sure that we speak on behalf of the voiceless every single day, every single opportunity that we have this chance to do so. And I want to let each and every one of you also know that in this program, we are so grateful because we have 5 days that we get to broadcast, Monday through Friday, and every one of these broadcasts is such unique. It's such unique to us, and it's such unique to all the stakeholders out here. And we want to make sure that you guys get to know what it is, why we're doing it, and how you can also be helpful with that. And with that in mind, I want to also give you just a small brief of what it is that we do here. What is Afri Dominion? What is Afri Dominion show? And to those of you who are just tuning in for the first time, this is a show that's a couple months old, but the idea is as old as a few years back. What we do here, Afri Dominion, it's an idea that inspires, that advocates on behalf of our brothers and sisters, our voiceless brothers and sisters, an idea that encourages and goes to the extent of helping each and every one of you brothers and sisters all over the continent and outside of continent to take the full dominion of Africa, the entire full dominion of Africa and African resources, by all of us, brothers and sisters, sons and daughters, and African descendants, all in the interest of African people, first and foremost, and then the rest of the world afterwards. So essentially, the Afri Dominion show, it is now a programming that allows us to actually bring to you programs of which inspires, of which advocates, and of which encourages and help each and every one of us take the full dominion of Africa, one nation at a time, by all of us sons and daughters, kings and queens of Africa and African descendants, all being mindful that we are working first and foremost on behalf of our nations, on behalf of the continent, on behalf of our paps, our ancestors, and those of you inside of our continent. And then the rest of the world comes afterwards. So essentially, we get to focus all things African related, all things Africa, and everything related to Africa, truthfully speaking. And I also tend to immediately respond without even being asked, because oftentimes I get this comment. Those of you who may actually feel that this is discrimination, it is entirely legit. It is not discrimination at all. Every single nation on planet Earth focuses first and foremost on its people, its citizens, and its own interest. Every single one of the nation, including the nation from which you are a citizen to. So if that's the case, and if you know that that is being done, and in case you didn't know, I want you to know and also investigate to see whether what we are saying is true. But I submit to you that that's in fact the case. And given that we are fully aware of that, it is no different than what we are doing here. We just happen to be bold enough to do it without any external forces telling us or dictating to us when to do it, how to do it, and who has to do it. Because gone are the days where we are going to continue to be slaves, continue to be puppets, continue to be the invisible voices of the invisible masters and slaveholders. We're not going to do that. Why do I say that, which may sound like a strong language that I'm expressing here? It is truly a strong language, and we want to send an actual message that is quite clear, crystal clear. Africa is not for sale. We are not slaves. Though Africa has been subjected to slavery for millennia, slavery for centuries, slavery for decades, even today we still experience some remnant of slavery. Currently we have mental slavery completely sweeping away the entire continent of Africa. We are fully aware of this in 2022. And therefore it is up to us to clean our own homes, to clean our villages, to clean our regions and our nations. Nobody is going to do it for us, because those whom you could be running for help, they're the same one who are perpetrating the same slavery mindset. subjecting you to that slavery. So we got to do the things we've never done before if we are to uproot, to remove completely or eradicate the slavery mentality that's been subjected towards each and every one of you guys. So we are fully operational when it comes to that fight against slavery. Though we could be small, it's the beginning. The little boy David was so small. He fought with this giant called Goliath with a sling blade. So even with you guys, I want you to never despise small beginnings. Do not despise, do not ignore small beginnings. Because those small beginnings, they yield to giants, incredible acts of selfless. You shall be the witness to that. So with that in mind, guys, I want to give you a quick brief of how our programs are created, broken down every single day. We have 5 themes that we have in the middle of our show, or we have on a daily basis from Monday all the way to Friday. On Mondays, we get to talk about the eradication of refugees and stateless person. Here specifically African refugees and African stateless person. Anything related to African refugees, we get to talk about it on Mondays. On Tuesdays, we get to talk about the African constitutions, laws, and policies. And again, we want to make sure that this set of laws, set of instructions that have so much control over our bodies, over our lives, over our nations, we get to choose what we want and what we do not want. And we get to actually educate and help our brothers and sisters to become aware of them. Because if we do not do it, somebody is going to do it on their own interest, making sure that what they implement or what they give us, it is actually advocating themselves first and their own interest first. And we want to say no, and heck to the no, publicly. It is our own inheritance. Africa is ours. African sons and daughters, kings and queens. Everybody who's not from Africa, you are guests to Africa. Though we know that most of you have already taken over the continent, have already taken over multiple countries. Sooner or later, that will be reversed. There isn't going to be any kinds of agreement that you can use as a basis by which you hold our own inheritance. As the offspring of our brothers and sisters, our ancestors, whom you've subjected to slavery and all kinds of heinous activities, we are saying no today in 2022. And we will continue to say no towards these deplorable conditions that we have experienced for so long. On Wednesdays, we're going to talk about our testimonies, and we get to write our own history by our own ways and by our own voices as well. This is one of those opportunities that I love because Africa is as old as you can imagine. Not only is as old as you can imagine, it is claimed that that's where civilization started. However, its history has been purposely buried. So how can you know who you are without knowing where you came from, without knowing your past, some sort of reference point? Because we know that our history has been purposely buried in order for us to reposition accordingly. We need to dig deeper and figure out and get to find out who we are truly. Not what they say we are, but who we truly are, who we genuinely are. And by the time we figure that one out, then we get to figure out where we are right now, where we headed tomorrow. Then anything that doesn't have anything to do with that destination of ours, it is a no-brainer. We can easily say no to. But while we still have no idea who we are, when we cannot figure out our history, it is important that we all work together and resurrect our history, share our history, preserve our history for millennia to come, and for those who are yet to be born. because that is really, very critical, guys. So on the Wednesdays, that is an opportunity for us to do that. So a huge welcome to all of you, and come and lay down your own brick, because 100 years from now, 500 years from now, we want to make sure that the population, that the offspring in that era can actually easily have access to our own history and get to know what we were and have an idea what we have done, right or wrong, so they can, follow the right thing, and the wrong thing they can discard. On Thursdays, we get to talk about the spirit of dominion. That is a strong word, dominion. So dominion entails, to those of you who have no idea, a sense of governorship. To dominate entails to govern, to control, to master, to handle with care, to protect, and to develop all of that in one. So when we're talking about, dominion of Africa, governing Africa, taking full control of Africa, managing Africa, protecting Africa, ensuring that all we want is representing every single one of us, ensuring that its resources is properly managed, responsibly, with accountability. So on Wednesdays, we are all about that. On Thursdays, rather. Fridays, we get to talk about the current events and how it affects Africa and African people. Fridays is also one of those good days where you get to set the agenda. So a huge welcome to all of you. Come and let's hang out. Come and let's discuss the issues that we care very deeply about, and be with no shame whatsoever. Now, I also want to let you know that those of you who have been asking us how you can help, first and foremost, you can find us on our website, which is www.afridominion.com. www.afridominion.com. Our main email is info@afridominion.com. info@afridominion.com. From the website, you can find both our phone number, private numbers, no, not private, studio numbers, mobile, and main lines. Okay, so we have those numbers publicly available. So feel free to reach out to us directly from those numbers. We also have our social media handlers, meaning you can find us. You can find us on Facebook, on Twitter, any one of these major social medias. You can find us out. You can also find us on some private social media. We're there as well. And come and hang out with us. So we practically are up in the open. We do not work under the table. Everything we do it publicly with full transparency, because we want to make sure that none of you would have would have an opportunity to say that we are misleading you. You cannot mislead someone publicly and also at the same time invite them to come and have a saying in it. With that in mind, our Zoom is open. We have a public Zoom that's open where you can actually have a word in everything that we are doing very, very, very openly. So all of you who want to have something to say, I'll give you a huge welcome and say, let's do it together. So with that in mind, guys, I want to jump right in the conversation today because it's a great conversation, and I intend to take a lot of your feedbacks if you have any, because we wanna get right on it, guys. We wanna get right on it and ensure that none of you is left behind. So what we're talking about today we want to talk about is Rwanda going to receive mercenaries from the United Kingdom posed as refugees. That's what we're talking about today. I repeat, is Rwanda going to receive mercenaries from the United Kingdom posed as refugees? So for those of you who are wondering, okay, what are you guys talking about now? This last Thursday, the British Prime Minister put out an announcement. Boris Johnson, for those of you who do not know who I'm referring to, this past Thursdays, meaning last week, he dropped down a big bomb that the United Kingdom was going to be taking their illegal immigrants and ship them to Rwanda for processing. and potentially obtaining literally legal residence in Rwanda at the dime of the United Kingdom. And at first when I heard of this, I was like, seriously, who are you joking here? Because think about it, it's called a cooperation between the United Kingdom and Rwanda. And immediately I was like, okay, so how many of Rwandese illegal immigrants can be sent to the United Kingdom? And not only that, currently Rwanda has a couple millions refugees outside of Rwanda, meaning scattered all around the world. Couple millions of refugees. So I started adding, my calculator was busy from this past Thursday, so because I was wondering, okay, if the United Kingdom is going to be bringing its own illegal immigrants to Rwanda, a little teeny nation, 1/9 of the whole entire United Kingdom. 1/9. Rwanda is 1/9 of the entire United Kingdom. Or for those of you who are not very good in math, United Kingdom is minimum of 9 times bigger than Rwanda. And it wants its illegal immigrants, those who are migrating to the United Kingdom illegally, meaning without going through the proper channel. In Rwanda, it's called Panya ways, you know. So they grabbing all of them, from the people who migrated to the United Kingdom from January 1st, 2022, up to date and going forward. So all those illegal immigrants, especially male illegal immigrants, are being shipped to Rwanda for processing and possible future there. And it's not even a questionable possibility. It's a strong possibility because the United Kingdom claims to be paying for all of it. So generally, a sensible nation, all nations, I have never, only in Rwanda, we've been doing all innovations, all kinds of innovations in the wrong way. I've never seen another nation that is so generous in handling someone else's problem before it could handle its own problem. But we also know the incentives. As a Rwandan, for those of you, it's also transparent. I'll let you know. I was born in Rwanda, and I'm in the United States right now. But I'd literally spend at least 10 years in Rwanda. I've spent there. At least 10 years. It's not that much, but at least I've spent in Rwanda minimum of 10 years. And so, I've never seen another nation that says, okay, you know what, bring it out, bring us your problems, we got you. Before you can clean out your own place, before you can clean out your own problem, you solve your own problem. Right now, right at this moment, Rwanda has a refugee problem, a 28-year refugee problem that it has not solved at all. Millions of Rwandese, literally refugees, who have yet to be repatriated, who have yet to be settled in a country in a way they can have a decent life. Now you're telling me Rwanda is begging to offer the United Kingdom to take on all its illegal immigrants. I mean, it doesn't get better than that as far as being hypocrites. We cannot handle our own people, but we are happy to take care of other people. Now, it's not by mistake also, I should say, because most of you may be thinking that, oh, these people are just in business. It's not just business. It is not just business. And that is why it's coming straight now to this question. Are we receiving mercenaries in Rwanda posed as refugees? The amount of money that the Brits are investing in Rwanda for processing these illegal immigrants. As you think about it and as you see, you wonder exactly what's hidden behind that. Remember last week I told you guys be careful with this announcement. There is more to it. There is more to it. And just like I have told you, there is literally more to it. This is not just about refugees. Because we know if the United Kingdom is going to give Rwanda 160 million just to process its own illegal immigrants to Rwanda, that generosity, why one day maybe just drop on a few extra million and help all these Rwandan refugees across the world to repatriate at home? Think about it. So this money is being diverted for other things. Though you will see that they are going to help a few refugees, a few illegal immigrants, now at the expense of the rest of the resources that could be used to actually repatriate Rwandese people. Now, to the same point, the Rwandese government can also say they don't want to come home. So we're not going to force them to come home. Do you know the reason why they're not coming home? Even the British government knows that. I want to start off with that first reason. There is a reason why refugees, Rwandese refugees specifically, are not coming back to Rwanda. There's a reason why they are still in millions outside of other countries. And there are reasons why they still have refugee status in all these nations. And now, all of that is going to be ignored and drop millions of dollars on the top of the information that is already readily available everywhere, even publicly. And none of you put a big question mark to what's happening. So let me just point out a few things, since some of you have a very, a selective memory. There is something they call Universal Periodic Review. This is a United Nations. It's like a scorecard that shows the human right record of members of the United Nations, including Rwanda. And since 2016, if my memory serves me correct, they started this thing where they've been actually checking out all these nations to see the human right records and to see whether these nations are actually are complying with the very basic human right standards in order for their own people to be repatriated back home. And would you want to know the scorecard for Rwanda? And I can bet most of you should know or need to know the scorecard of Rwanda, because it's not all that great. It is not that great at all. Not only that, the United Nations has been aware of so much that's been happening to Rwanda, and has been calling it out. Especially, I'll give you quite an example. Since last year, specifically, when when the meeting took place of the periodic review. It took place in Geneva. I do remember, I think it was on back in January 2021. So the Universal Periodic Review meeting took place, and so much was spoken there of Rwanda and how its human right records was so terrible. I will talk specifically the findings of the United Kingdom, which, by the way, conveniently, the Prime Minister has forgotten about it, because he went on to praise Rwanda of its amazing human right and how well the country has been doing. When last year, they were literally saying they had some strong language that they exchanged as far as what was happening to Rwanda. Now, I want to take just a couple seconds to read it out, because I want you guys to know what the United Kingdom said about Rwanda during the Universal Periodic Review. This information is also public, by the way. It's not like it's some sort of like private documentation that was sent out to me. This was sent. This is just a public report from the findings of the United Nations Universal Periodic Review. So let me tell you what the United Kingdom said, and this was delivered, or it was publicly sent out on July 8th, 2021, which was last year, and it was sent to the United Nations Human Rights Council in Geneva, and the United Kingdom was represented by its ambassador, and this is what they say. So the United Kingdom, and I'm quoting, guys. I'm quoting. I'm not gonna put it in my own words. I'm gonna tell you how they said it, or the message that they passed on as it regards to the human rights records in Rwanda and how things are happening or going there. So the United Kingdom welcomes Rwanda's engagement with the Universal Periodic Review, including collaboration between the government and the civil society on human rights. The United Kingdom reiterates its commitment to work constructively with Rwanda to support the Universal Periodic Review implementation. The United Kingdom is pleased that Rwanda fully supports our recommendation to protect and enable journalists to work freely without fear of retribution, and ensure that state authorities comply with the Access to Information Law. This is an important step to promote freedom of speech, including allowing space for critical voices. Next they go on and they say, we regret that Rwanda did not support our recommendation, which was also made by other states, to conduct transparent, incredible, and independent investigation into allegations of human rights violations, including death including death in custody and torture. I want you guys to listen carefully. We welcome that Rwanda accepted recommendations from other countries on combating human trafficking. But we were disappointed that Rwanda did not support the United Kingdom recommendations to screen, identify, and provide support to trafficking victims, including those held in government transit centers. In recognizing that the process made by Rwanda, the United Kingdom encourages Rwanda to submit an optional midterm report to provide an updated implementation of recommendations between reviews. Let me also tell you what the United States said. The United States ambassador to the UN in Geneva said, his name was Charles, by the way, Mr. Bentley, U.S. mission to an international organization in Geneva. So he said that the United States warmly welcomes the Rwandan delegation, and we recommend that Rwanda, number one, promote the right to freedom of expression by ending the tensions and harassment of members of the media and civil society for their reporting. Also, they recommended independently and transparently investigate credible allegations of unlawful and arbitrarily arrests and detentions, killings, and enforced disappearance of human rights defenders, political opponents, and journalists, persecution alleged perpetrators under the law. They recommended to enforce the protection of all persons' rights to life and liberty by strengthening the independence of the justice system and ensuring no one is convicted on the basis of information extracted under torture or duress. We recommend Rwanda's progress increasing gender equality and access to education. However, we are concerned about limited civil and political space, specifically unduly burdensome permitting requirements which inhibit the right of peaceful assembly. I mean, this is like This is like a diluted political language saying, okay, we want to slap you on the wrist just a little bit. Can you please take care of this, of these issues of torture and harassing people and all the above. Right now in Rwanda, Rwanda harasses, Rwanda tortures its own citizens, and anybody who takes stands against the rhetoric of the government. That is one of the reasons why a lot of these Rwandese refugees are not repatriating. They have fearful, credible fear of being imprisoned, of being disappeared, of being killed. Plenty of examples. This is not something that is just falling from the sky. Many people have been killed, have been jailed, have been reported as disappeared, even though we actually say that they've been killed already with some unverifiable, credible, unverifiable evidences, and so on. Now, all this, the United Kingdom Prime Minister Johnson, he was like, oh, Rwanda is one of the most amazing countries to go live in. We're talking about hypocrisy right up in your face. 90% of the nations who were in Geneva reviewing and having a saying on the Universal Periodic Review, especially as regards to Rwanda's scorecard, all spoke very negatively of how bad things are when it comes to human rights violations in Rwanda. So irrespective of all of that, last week you've heard the Prime Minister dropping a bomb that they were now becoming, Rwanda was becoming an extension of the United Kingdom. They were sending some illegals to Rwanda for processing, and then from there on, they could be given space to Rwanda or somewhere outside of Rwanda. Now we have unconfirmed information that there is a little bit more as to why these people are going there. Some people, they call it geopolitical war. You know, Rwanda is right next to the Democratic Republic of the Congo, which is one of the wealthiest land with natural resources. From computer gadgets, natural resources like coltan, and so many other coltan, cobalt, and a whole lot of natural resources in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, to staging wars, to all kinds of stuff is being there, including those of you who create big bombs, including the atomic bomb. The Democratic Republic of the Congo, it's the home base of the uranium that is utilized to create this atomic bomb. You see a bunch of nations fighting in the Ukraine. They need a lot of natural resources from the Congo to keep on feeding their wars. So all these nations are going there to plunder the minerals from the Congo. They also have been going there to keep the instability within the region. So these mercenaries, as we have heard, they are supposed to be dispatched from Rwanda to the rest of the African continents. Now, I know that most of you guys may say that, wow, that sounds like a very strong language that you are using, yeah, man. Where is the proof of all of that? I'm going to give you guys a homework. ISIS or Daesh. How did ISIS end up in the Democratic Republic of the Congo? And the next day we've heard the United States Marines, the military, they went to fight in the Democratic Republic of the Congo to eradicate ISIS. I mean, overnight you've heard of that. And the next thing you knew, you had military advisors from all these nations, including the United Kingdom, heading on to the Central Africa country, the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Guys, be aware. Mercenaries, it's a strong language. For those of you who do not know what a mercenary is, a mercenary, it's a soldier for hire. Meaning it's a soldier who does not have an allegiance to any nation, but they are willing to fight your battles in exchange, for money. So even the United States, in specific region, when they go, when the law locally says do not bring foreign soldiers there, they simply change their name. They use things like, we are security advisors. We are this and that and that and that. I mean, you change the name, but you know who you are. If you are a pilot of an aircraft, and then they say we don't want pilots from the United States as an example. You say, you know what? I'm an advisor in flight. Okay? I am simply here as an advisor in flying planes. It does not change the fact that you are still a pilot. Even though you do not want to publicly call yourself a pilot, you're now taking a back seat as an advisor. Now, can an advisor of a flight happen to fly if you are truly advising other people how to properly fly? That implies that you can fly. So, mercenaries, aka advisors, security advisors, and all these fancy names that a lot of these nations prefer to use. These are code names for army, for soldiers being sent all over Africa. We have something we call Africon. This is like a base of the United States in Africa, where its military literally monitors the rest of the world, including Africa, when it comes to arms and conflicts. We have plenty of bases of Africon in Africa, including in Rwanda. We have a base. We have a United States base. Not only that, United States Army, United States, security advisors are in Rwanda for not just for international security policing, but for also for securing the interest of the United States. The United Kingdom soldiers, military, I should say, it's military. It's also in Rwanda. It's also in the Great Lakes region. We might as well say it is in the East African community specifically, since it includes the Democratic Republic of the Congo, recently added Rwanda, and Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Burundi, South Sudan, etc. So guys, I want you to just open your eyes. You have the Chinese military in the same region. You have Russian military in the region. You also have French military in the region. You have German military in the region. You have the Australian military in the region. You will never get to openly hear them that they're there. They have all kinds of names that they use, code names. Because for them to publicly operate, they have to be under some very specific guidelines, just in case you, the people, decide to ask, like, okay, so by the way, what is it that you do again? And if your constitution, for example, prohibits foreign nationals or foreign army or foreign military to operate on your soil, then that would literally violate that law. But if they come in calling themselves security advisors, for example, or they come in and they pose themselves as refugees, they are not violating anything until you scrutinize and see what's going on. So we have reason to believe that this whole benevolent act to literally stress the Rwandan system, to stress it more than it wants to stress itself in the United Kingdom. There is more to it than just helping these refugees, or helping these illegal immigrants, I should say. There are still countless Rwandese people who have yet even been counted by the Rwandan government, who have yet to be given a welcome back home. The government has already built reception centers, residences for all these people who have yet to arrive from the United Kingdom. And they have not done the same for Rwandese refugees, and then entice them or show them, hey, look, we are prepared. We are prepared for your arrival. Those of you who want to come, do come. And by the way, all your human right, all your rights, your human rights are going to be secured. Your rights as not just Rwandese citizens, but sons and daughters of Rwanda is going to be absolutely looked after. They haven't done that for these past 28 years. But do you know what they have done? They have forced refugees to go back home. From 1996 up until today, they have worked with the United Nations to terminate refugee status in a number of countries within Africa, even outside of Africa, so that Rwandese refugees could be paperless, could have zero status, which will force them to go back home. Because in some countries, if you do not have legal status to remain in that same nation, for example, in the United States, if you do not have a legal status to be here, and you happen to work to earn money, if you get caught working illegally, you may face some jail time and then penalty. And then you're hurting your chance to be admitted to this country legally, should you have another opportunity to do so. So they make sure that they make it so hard when you do not have documentations that actually legally allow you to be in any one of these nations. So all of that have been a part of the hurdle for a number of Rwandese people who even continue to live illegally in those nations without documentations, out of fear of being killed, persecuted, jailed for life, all as retribution, because they could either be Rwandese population of ethnicity Hutu, Tutsi Tutsis population of ethnicity, who happen not to be on the same line of thought with the government, Rwandese people of ethnicity Twa, which is barely spoken of, and one of the extinct population in Rwanda as well as those who are mixed. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, I ask you, if you truly scrutinize what's happening, especially the most of you, this is just news. Most of you could care less what happens afterwards. As long as it's no longer digestible, you move on to the next page. But these nations are not just investing millions of dollars, millions of pounds for nothing, guys. There's no free lunch today in this entire world. That includes to Rwanda. Think about the investment on your return. Why would a country 9 times bigger than Rwanda so kindly offers millions of pounds that they so desperately need in their own land? Give it to another nation to process its own problems, its own illegal immigration problems, in exchange for money. Don't tell me that it's an employment opportunity. Because not only in Rwanda we are so scarce land-wise, we are also ill-prepared to handle that logistics. We require training, we require help, assistance, in order for us to even process the task at hand. So the United Kingdom, which is more than able, why wouldn't it retain its own resources and hire more of its people so they can take care of the illegal immigrants problem on the mainland? given that not only it's bigger than Rwanda, it's more capable to do it, and it already has an infrastructure. So the word on the street is that out of all these refugees that are going to start leaving the United Kingdom as early as in just a few weeks from now, will be mercenaries who are going to the Democratic Republic of the Congo, who are going to Uganda, who are going to Tanzania, who are going in all parts of Africa to secure the interests of the United Kingdom, including providing military consultancy, advising security security experts, security advisors in the region. They'll come in as refugees, but they are going to operate in the region. Hear me correctly. Now, why in the world would you, the people, accept those conditions, accept those terms, when you cannot freely move to the United Kingdom, when your own refugees cannot be welcomed there for processing, given that it's bigger, more able, but they're not willing to take any of you. They're not willing to take its own illegals on the mainland already. But they are more than happy to give you money to process it. Guys, think very critically. So these mercenaries who are going to create instability in the Greater Lakes region, you are going to find all these wars taking place. You wonder how a group called M23 can find bombs in the middle of the jungle in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, when we all know that there is no manufacturers of guns, manufacturers of bombs, manufacturers of any type of arms in the middle of the jungle. They're receiving help through all these both government institutions and all these international non-government organizations in the area, posing as one thing while they're doing other things. Even the United Nations has also provided some of those weapons to a certain degree. We know, we have some records. So, guys, we are being turned into stupid people right up in the open. And because now we've been trained to shut up and not say anything, any name that's given to you, you just swallow it. Anything. So now watch for what's going to be happening in the next months in that whole region. Watch how the conflict is going to be much more broader. Watch the instability that's going to arrive there. Instability from nowhere is going to all of a sudden occur in the whole region. We are warning you up in advance. Don't say that you never knew. And then go back and reread and wonder, how is it that this can be happening right before all of our eyes? The same way that the Rwandan genocide, before it happened, they already were calculating what is the possibility, what's the worst case scenario. Numbers of death they can expect. They knew death was coming. They were just wondering, playing around with the numbers, what's the worst case scenario? Remember 50,000? We're thinking that 50,000 people are going to die. And this is just fine because they are Africans. And right here too, the security advisors turned into refugees. Some of them, not all of them, are going to be having some creative activities that sometimes kill people. And what is the worst case scenario? Who knows? But we already have had enough of death in the Greater Lakes region. Why do we need any more death? And why is it that you politicians who literally have sworn to protect and serve your own land, your own homeland, are doing nothing? We know the reason, because you are not serving the people. You are not serving the people. You are serving at the pleasure of the masters from all over the world. You are literally serving at the pleasure of other foreign nations. We know. And they also make it known that they will at all cost secure their own nation's interest in your homeland. You think I'm lying? Play to their messages. They publicly say it. They don't lie. They just have the boldness to say that they will secure their own interest by any means necessary in your own homeland. But now it becomes so disrespectful when it gets to the point where a nation receives money and they say that they're going to be doing something, being benevolent to these refugees when they are not that benevolent to their own people. So guys, be aware. Security personnel, security advisors are coming to the Greater Lakes region legally now this time, and they are going to be financed also legally this time. It no longer needs to be special black ops, even though they still have those black ops. But some of this is going to be legally done in front of you, but the result is going to be something that you are not expecting. Why? Because none of you care enough whether another one of your brothers and sisters dies today. Consequently, most of you have been captivated mentally as slaves. They cannot question anytime any one of these nations set up some sort of proposal to thieves we have representing the people in our government, in agreeing to the same deals where they get a little bit of pocket change from these millions being channeled there, but in exchange, they're giving away our nations. Guys, this is not funny at all. And it's not a joke. This is not comedy. I want you guys to know that. We're not being comedian here. We are literally being serious. And we are sounding a conserved, this is like a conservative alarm. We have not screamed our lungs out yet. Even though screaming, it's also appropriate, I should say. We haven't screamed yet. But the time is also now to start screaming. But again, it's up to you all. We work together to fight evil and eradicate evil. And we restored rules of law, the true rule of law in our homelands. We repatriate our brothers and sisters turned refugees globally, and we give them a place to stay while they are still yet to receive their own inheritance. So guys, this conversation, I know it's rough to most of you, but be aware. Be aware that we have security advisors coming very soon, posed as refugees. Some security personnel or some security advisor, they may not say that it's all. Some posed as security advisors to Rwanda. They're not coming in as refugees. They're coming in as proxies for other purposes. And you, the people, you are too asleep to realize what's happening. There's also a distraction for you to be busy, not seeing so many other things being planned for you all. So we have a duty, guys. We have a duty to keep your eyes open, to actually sound an actual alarm when these things are happening. And remember, we are publicly saying this thing because I know at some point we are going to be asked, provide some evidence as to what you are saying. And we would love all of you to actually dig deeper to see whether what we are saying has some sort of truth to it. And call us out also. Call us out also. If the information is either erroneous or inaccurate, so we can actually correct it up in the open, publicly. But what we got going on, guys, it's scary, and it should be scary, but it also should require that we also stop playing. They're not playing, guys. And also when they're working with, when they're working with the people who have zero interest in working on behalf of their people, they are fully employees of these other nations. So it is in their best interest to, to appease the boss, so that everything they want and wish can be, delivered. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, be on the lookout for mercenaries arriving to Rwanda and the Greater Lakes region. Doing what? You have a few months to find out. And I am wondering why you, the people, the refugees, the true refugees also, cannot actually reach out to the local offices and say, hey, listen, I'd like to have a share on the money so I can also repatriate. Or you can voice your own opinion as to some of the issues you have been meeting unresolved, pending issues, so you can have a decent life, including going back to Rwanda, if we can clear those conditions. But don't just be idle, guys. You remain idle. That also means that your opportunity to fight for what is right, your opportunity to be hand to hand, arms to arms with your brothers and sisters to fight evil, you are going to squash it. We have very little resources to fight, but we have so much heart to absolutely eradicate anything and everything combined. Now, we are sitting on so much of natural resources, but we have to actually process it to benefit us in terms of, for example, arms, in terms of other immediate equipments or piece of equipments that we normally ask these extra peoples, these extra nations to provide to us. We have all that we need, guys. But we also have to get right on and get dirty with it so we can create whatever it is that we need in terms of tools, in terms of equipments that we require to secure ourselves. We keep on begging, we keep on asking these nations. No free lunch, just remember that. No free lunch. So there is an alarm, guys, where you have to answer. This so-called agreement, it's coming. If we're lucky, a lot of you are going to be smart enough because, by the way, the instability in the Great Lakes region, the instability in Africa, it is also going to be felt beyond Africa. Literally. You may not care right now because it may take a couple of years to arrive in whatever country, whatever nation that you are in, but undisputable, it is going to be felt. And that is why, for instance, when you see wars taking place and they cut down, for example, oil, anytime you have problems like recently in the Ukraine, now that the Russians are fighting there, oil pipes, crude oil, has been a little bit of a challenge to leave Ukraine, to leave Russia, because the pathways that it uses, they just don't have opportunity to actually transport that crude oil all over the world easily, because these boats can easily be shut out, and they don't want that. So anytime there is instability, you get to pay out of your pocket immediately. Those of you in the United States, you know how much gas cost today versus how much it was last month. Prices have been skyrocketing because of conflict in Ukraine. Now imagine what's going to happen to your cell phones, to your laptops, to those of you doing some very high-tech work. If they cannot plunder more and more and more coltan, more and more of the natural resources you need in your cell phone, you need in your laptops, you need in technology, in technology sectors, this stuff is going to be expensive. It was being pirated out of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Now nothing will be taken out. If the instability comes to the degree that now you won't be able to get the natural resources from there. But in this case, it might be an opportunity for the Congolese people to actually set up their own manufacturers, to set up their own, security personnel, security services within the country, without the needing of mercenaries. Because right now, the Democratic Republic of the Congo cannot secure its own borders. You have all the multinationals having their own army, mercenary army within the Democratic Republic of the Congo in specific regions that they are plundering from. You have literally the mercenaries there. Now, to be frank also, these are not just mercenaries. These are military from various nations posed as mercenaries in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And that is why you can be able to purchase a machine gun or to have a machine gun on credit from the Democratic Republic of the Congo, but you cannot have a basket of rice or 10 kilograms of rice on credit. They're not in the business of securing your hunger, but they're in the business of killing you. They're in the business of diminishing the numbers of you, the people in there. And so far they've managed to chop off 15 millions. There's still another, between 2 to 400 million people to worry about, just in these few nations combined. So guys, start thinking critically. Things are not what they seem to be. And it's up to us to literally, impatiently scrutinize this situation. Not just these representatives of these nations, but also us, the people. Now, who's going to be liable for the death from these mercenaries? Already these 15 millions have yet to receive justice. But now this is something you know in advance that's coming. You see more conflicts increasing, know where it's coming from, and know who's paying it directly. And of course, the mainstream media, is not going to talk about it. Which is why we require that we do all we can, guys. We do all that we can to ensure that our people know what's happening. And collect the evidences, guys, because there will be a time for justice. Even though it may not be right now. Do your very best to collect and preserve the evidence of all these things we are saying, so that at the right time we may actually set up courts to prosecute all the people, all the nationals, all the countries involved in the killings of our people. And I understand what this is asking for, and some of you might say, man, this kid really got balls. There's no way that your brothers and sisters are going to be killed publicly, and you still look down as if nothing is happening. How come we're not seeing these same issues in the nations that we are residing in right now? How is it that you don't have many countries fighting in France right now? How come you don't see a bunch of countries fighting in the United Kingdom right now? How many U.S. Army personnel are you seeing fighting right now in Russia? They don't do it like that, guys, because they rather come and fight in Africa so that in their own homeland, the instability doesn't cause the rest of the chaos. They're testing weaponries there. They're doing all kinds of crazy things that you guys are barely aware of. But the locals are literally witnessing that. And as long as the news, as long as the information doesn't make it out, they can keep on doing it and ensure that none of you is nearby to tell the story. So this is not just a refugee problem, guys. This is a national security problem for the entire East African community, for the entire Great Lakes region, even Africa, I would dare say Africa. This contract is going to be for many years to come, as you have heard, based on its success. People are going to continue to be legally brought to Rwanda and dispatched all across Africa for other purposes. They don't necessarily have to stay in Rwanda, guys. That is something that is not in the agreement. There's so much that's coming. And all of you are going to have to smell the coffee and be as courageous as you can be. And we got to fight evil, guys. There is so much evil that's coming. There is so much evil that's coming. And while today your loved ones may still be alive, it may not be the case tomorrow, a year from now, 2 years from now. But this time around, don't say that you didn't know that these conflicts are literally pending. The same way they were talking about possibly 50,000 Rwandese people will die in the years, in months ahead. And it turned out to be at the very least a couple millions. I just never really up to this moment, there are some things I don't understand. Perhaps in its, in the right time I will get to understand. But so much is happening, guys. So much is happening. And you Africans in particular, I need to see the United Africa. Not the African Union, United Africa. Hear me right, because I'm not losing it, guys. I know what I'm asking for. If we cannot secure ourselves as a people, if we cannot stop the conflicts within our own nations and ensure that not one single citizen dies out of things you cannot explain publicly, what are we doing for the generation of tomorrow? What are we doing to our own inheritance? Even these nations, foreigners who are coming to Africa, to the African continent, there's nothing wrong in actually having a cooperations of nation and another nation. In fact, it's encouraged. As humanity, we're supposed to coexist together. But we are not going to coexist while you have already determined that I'm going to be a slave and you're going to be the master. While you have already decided that you'll come and take over all that is mine as inheritance and you use it as you please. Because that's the arrangement that we have right now. You're not just gonna come in and then sign an agreement with a kid, raping that kid economically, financially, morally, even mentally, and claim to be a good neighbor, claim to be an actual a friend of any one of these nations. So when we're calling all of this out, you guys have to also be proactive and scrutinize everything that we are saying. Make sure that we're not putting any errors in it. And also be courageous enough to furnish some of these evidences. Do you know how hard it is to extract evidence out of these people? They have it, but they don't want you to name them who they are, especially those of you who are leaking this documentation. We appreciate what you are doing. But if you have a moral compass within you and you see that what's happening, it's wrong, why can't you be, courageous enough and actually stand to the point you can actually, you can actually, they can, you may even receive harms. They can even kill you. But stand for the truth, no matter what. So you prefer that we have it, as long as we don't mention how we got it, which we okay, because everything, for everything there is exclusive time for it. We are more than happy to accept it. That is something that's helping us. But it's also a gesture to show that not only you want to help Africans, you want to help these nations to be really stable, and you want to bring justice, to render true justice as it's spoken of from these nice books, Truth, Reconciliation, and Justice. Be a part of that publicly. Don't just do it from little holes that you guys are hiding in. We receive a classified documentation, and you get to say, make sure that my name is, make sure that you do not say how you got it. Reminding you that some of these governments, they hit you with a crime. They hit you with a crime, meaning you may actually receive a penalty, as in having committed a crime, to disclose what is considered as top secret, even if it was killing a bunch of people. As long as they deem that it's a top secret agreement or top secret agreement, whoever that discloses it to the people, you may actually be retributed against, because you've told that which was a secret, but a demonic secret, a heinous secret. So that's why I want to encourage all of you guys, especially those of you who are graciously giving us information. We are grateful for that. But we also want you guys to step up. Step up the same way we are. Let's assume all these liabilities together. But be strong enough also to fight against anyone who's ready to kill millions of people for the interest of a specific nation or a couple of nations combined. They are happy destroying millions for their own interest. And they don't get to answer that in a court of law. And they do not get to be written down in the books of history as genocidaires. But it's being done. It has been done many times. Point in case, actually, I think it's good that I touched bases on this before we end this broadcast. Guys, for example, do you know that in this country, something they call the Spanish flu? Have you guys heard of it? There is a group of people called Native Americans. Some of you may not have heard of them, but it's like a multiple ethnicity here in the United States. Those that they call Aboriginals, the people who were here before the Europeans settled to this land, to the Americas. Do you know that millions of Aborigines were killed? Now, it is officially recorded as they died off, they have died out of diseases. Millions of them. But before these Europeans arrived, some diseases were never on the mainland. They brought diseases. Some specific diseases that were purposely brought in for warfare purposes. Also, something that's been done to Africa as a continent. Even though we have resilience within ourselves, but we are not mortals either. Though we can resist Our body can resist a little bit stronger. But these diseases are also killing us as Africans. Luckily, we're popping our children faster, but rest assured that we've been killed, guys. We are still being killed today, either by specific diseases that were never part of the African human ways of lives, imported to Africa. Again, guys, fact check me. And I also dare you to prove me wrong. So all these things that are happening, they are not happening by accident. And some of the people you call to be friendlies are only friendlies to the extent that you are securing their own interest in your own homeland. The minute you're no longer securing their own interest, that friendship is over. And that's where you all need to prepare, guys. There's so much change that is coming right now. And the notion that a non-African foreigner is going to come and help you take care of your own situation before they can take care of their own situation is so absurd. And most of you are thinking like that. We are going to have to be fully responsible for securing our own homeland, guys, by using our own methods. By using our own methods, our own weapons, our own ways of the way we used to do it before. If you also have gained some other knowledge, some extra knowledge today that can improve those techniques, the knowledge that we have back in the days, you are welcome to bring it. But that war is coming. It's a matter of when it's coming. And some of these nations are positioning themselves ahead of time to ensure that when it does happen, that they have a much higher likelihood to win over, to maintain, to keep what they're seeking as an interest to their own homelands from Africa. And guys, I keep on saying it, and I will say right now before we close our broadcast, until we have the full dominion of Africa, until we have the entire management of Africa as sons and daughters, kings and queens, African descendants, we are going to forever stay slaves to these outside nations. We no longer have physical shackles, some of us, but we still have some slave, some slave shackles, slavery shackles. Mental shackles are real, guys. Keeping you a slave mentally by giving you a beautiful looking suit, by giving you a nice home to live in, by giving you a demarcation line you cannot pass. It is crazy. And it will be really, really good that you guys start to see what's happening. Have you ever wondered why the United States has 50 nations all working together, where you do not require a passport from California all the way to Washington, D.C.? You do not require a passport from Rhode Island all the way to New Mexico and Texas. Why should you need a passport from Senegal all the way to Kenya? From Egypt all the way to South Africa? Why should you need a passport, guys? Why shouldn't you have an opportunity to help your brothers and sisters with the gifts that you have? We are created to be interdependent amongst ourselves. I don't have a law, and neither do you. But together, we can figure it all out together. That's the natural way of coexisting on planet Earth, even in Africa. So you guys need to wake up and smell the coffee, because what's coming is going to require that all of us will work together. You work on your own, you work by yourselves, you are guaranteed going to perish. But together, We will exist. We will continue to live on our continent. And I will end it there, guys. Going back to you and asking you to really think and to literally dig, guys. Is Rwanda going to receive mercenaries from UK? Or why is Rwanda? I forgot to put it on. It's the question was, why is Rwanda going to receive mercenaries from UK posed as refugees? It is happening. Some of them are not going to be refugees. The same way, not all of them are going to be thieves or other negative things that you may be thinking about. There's so much going on, guys, but we have to really work together to do right by our own people, because failure to do that is going to result in all of us paying a much more heavier price in the end. I submit to you. So that's all I have for now, guys. If you have any comment, I didn't read any of your comments today because I wanted to make sure that all of you take what I have said and you go think it over, and then give us some feedback through email, through phone, through whatever it is that you have an access to. But please give us some feedback as to what we have said today. Let me read one quick comment. The UK also is to jail undesirable refugees that attempt to stay in UK, so that might persuade real non-Rwandan refugees to go back to Rwanda, whether they are mercenaries among them or not. And that's the very last thing I'm going to say, guys. Thank you so much, guys. For those of you who are following, I literally ask you all to be on the lookout, guys. Scrutinize, dig, and see what's happening. Because whether you're in the United Kingdom, whether you're in the United States, whether you're in Russia, whether you are in Australia, the issues, the situation that is unfolding, it is going to have an impact on each and every one of us. All of us, regardless of where you are going to be or where you reside. So come on, guys, let's have it. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be with you guys today. And I appreciate you sending us some feedback. Website www.datafreedominion.com, and send us an email or send us a quick text. Send us an email at info@datafreedominion.com. Go to the website and you find our information there. And so excited, guys, for the opportunity again to come forward to be here with you guys. But I also ask you that you go out there, and you study, go out there and dig and dig and dig. Because your survival, my survival, and our survival depends on what we are going to do, including getting the right information at the right time, for this season is ours. With that in mind, guys, I am Freeman Singirankabo here at our Free Dominion. I wish you all a super fantastic day. Until we see you again, God be with you guys. Thanks.